I'm making this video on why I think that life is hard for some people. Uh, I guess it's pretty easy for me to sit here and talk about like I could make judgments and this, that, and the other, but I don't choose to do that, and I'll tell you why I don't choose to like judge younger people and even say stuff like, "Oh, you're lazy" and this, that, and the other. I mean, granted, I am a tail end baby boomer. I was born 1963, so yeah, I mean, all intents and purposes, I'm an old fart. But I can also maybe, hopefully, give some advice to younger people who are like just starting out in life and really don't really have any direction or anything like that, and think that maybe life is just a pointless struggle because of the way the system is set up to basically work you into the ground for 40 hours a week, 60 hours a week, whatever, until you finally kick the bucket and end up a shriveled carcass like me. Um, and the reason I'm not that way is because when I was 17, this is one of these old man, long um, drawn out old man stories, I guess. When I was 17, my dad I don't know if I should talk about this, but I really don't care because I kind of got a thick skin, sort of. My dad killed himself, and he wasn't an alcoholic. He wasn't a drug addict. He wasn't on any kind of drugs. He was actually a workaholic, and he was a Marine veteran himself, and he was one of those types of kind of overachievers, like I gotta get it done, this, that, and the other. And so for growing up in a household like that was especially in the 70s was pretty volatile, I guess you'd say. There's a lot of yelling, a lot of cussing, a lot of just I mean back then you could beat your kids and nobody'd say nothing, you know. But so basically, he jumped off a huge, 200 foot bridge. And when he did that, I remember actually feeling a sense of relief because he was very hard on us. And I was like, oh man, now I got all my freedom. I can do whatever the hell I want to do. So, and basically, that's kind of what happened. I was a surfer. I liked to hang out at the beach with my buddies. I was, had already started, pounding beers and stuff and grew up at the beach. So when he died, my stepmother, I had a stepmother who used to beat the living crap out of us. And basically, she kicked me out when I was 17 years old. So I was like, what am I supposed to do? Um, so the whole system thing started very early for me. This system of Uh, I mean, it starts for everybody really, but for me, it was like I was already put on Social Security survivor benefits at the age of 17 in 1980. So I lived like that for about 6 months. Partied with a lot of my friends, went to the beach, did the whole nine. Had a great time. Girlfriends, this, that, and the other, and I had a great time. I mean, it was fun at the time, but then things started getting a little sketchy. I was like, I don't really know how I'm going to make any money. I was living on maybe $50 a week. So as a kid, I was thrown out into this crazy world. Like, there you go, dude, you're on your own, and it was it's even though it was fun, and when you're younger, you kind of thrive on this adrenaline, and that's exactly what I did. I mean, I was a surfer. I would take off on huge waves. I didn't really care. But there came a point where I was like, I got to do something with my life. So I signed up in the Marines, and by before I was even 18, I was in the Marines. And so I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps. got out, and then when I got out, there was no family left, so I was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do now. And instantly, as soon as I got out of the Marines, I was like, I'm insta lost. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't know how to navigate this civilian world. And, you know, being on your own, it was kind of tough. So I ended up going back to my old lifestyle, surfing, hanging out with girls at the beach, basically just being kind of a knucklehead, working jobs, and pizza delivery job, warehouse jobs, and did all that kind of stuff. And but I never could get ahead. I was just like, why am I so screwed up? What is it, me? And I was like, there's no way I can't even come up with my rent. And the worst part of it was I developed an alcohol problem, and so I would just pound these wine coolers. Back then it was Bartles and James, so we just I'd go on a delivery route and it'd be like, well, come back to the pizza place and pound a few wine coolers, So, but then it progressively got worse, and I really had some difficult times. Ended up homeless in my mid 20s. I went back in the Navy and did a couple more years in Coronado, California, North Island, California, with the unit called SPU 13. I was a maintenance guy there. We got to drive the seal boats and all this other fun stuff, shoot machine guns off the boats, which was kind of fulfilling that adrenaline rush that I always kind of lived by. I was like, I always needed the next high. And but it really didn't work out too well because I still had this problem with drinking alcohol and seeking these rushes, these instant rushes in life. And I was like, I don't know why life's not working out. My friends would come by, we'd drink a bunch of beers, and I was just kind of, you know, I was working, but I was floating. I was really just kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And this at this time, I had already, I got out of the Navy. I've already got 2 honorable discharges. Working at SeaWorld by 1990, and working as a cook, and the same thing happens. You end up partying with your friends, getting drunk, and repeat, and then you have this weird feeling of I'm not getting anywhere in life because I can't even afford my bills. I can't afford my car payment. I can't afford nothing. And so to cope with that, I would just basically end up drinking beers and smoking Camel Wide cigarettes, until I was just completely inebriated and didn't even think about any consequences of my actions. Um, Driving motorcycles 100 miles an hour down the freeway in the middle of the night in San Diego with my buddies, and just thinking, wow, this is really cool. Um, Hooking up with different girls, all that stuff. And then I'm not going to ramble too long on this, but uh, the idea here is that I lived it. A lot of us older baby boomers kind of lived the the same life that younger people live now. It's just that now it's a little more intense, and people are a little more aware of the fact that they don't want to work until they drop, until they're like old like me, and they're going, "What did I do with my life?" And will Social Security or any type of safety net even be there for them? So these are like real concerns, and then you have other pressures from people who always tell you, well, here I can make it a little easier on you. I'll just give you these drugs, and we can hang out and be miserable together. And that's basically kind of how I lived my life. I was just a pleasure seeking, idiot. Um, so I understand the younger thinking where it's like I want to have what I want to have, but I don't really can't see myself working until I'm an old man. I totally get it because that's me now. I'm like an old dude now. I do try to take care of myself by walking, fishing, riding my bike, doing all those kinds of things. But I'm an old dude, but I'm still alive. I got friends that have passed away from melanoma, cancer, alcoholism, you name it. Even I had meningitis and almost kicked the bucket. I mean, but I'll tell you the one thing that saved my life, and it wasn't God. It wasn't like some big epiphany. I was raised in the Catholic Church, and even that, I was like, these people are kind of. I mean, they're falling on the floor. They're like, I've been saved and all this other stuff. And I was like, dude, I ain't buying it. And meanwhile, you get these stories coming out on, pedophile priests and stuff. And I was like, I just, especially like at this age, I just can't wrap my head around uh, the church and believing in something that I can't see. So the so eventually, what happened with me, I was really down and out, living with some friends, and I was like, I don't know how to get out of this rut. We were all drinking. I was working as a laborer in a labor pool, making $40 a day. I was struggling. Still had my addiction to alcohol, my addiction to toxic friends, and I finally just I finally worked as a laborer, got picked up as by a contractor, and he told me after a year working there that this is a crap business. You'll never get anywhere unless you go learn a trade. So at 35 years old, I said, okay, I'm ready, and I went down to a school, a trade school, open shop trade school in San Diego, and I passed the test for electrical apprenticeship. And from there, I went into my electrical apprenticeship. I spent 4 years basically digging ditches, pulling wire, learning how to set gear, learning how to do terminations, learning all about code, learning box fill, um, wire sizing. I learned everything that there is to know about electricity and the install side. Um, so I basically went from living on a couch to owning my own truck, my own house. I had a nice F-150 truck, toolbox on my truck. Living, I was living the good life, but I still had the problem with the alcohol and and that lifestyle of kind of wanting that next high. So I ended up uh, and then I got married and I had a son. So this is all like 20 years ago. And and then I sold everything. I bought a Camaro. I drove across country to where I'm at now. I just said, forget all this. California is, the work was kind of killing me and stuff, and I packed everything up. I moved out to North Carolina to slow down, and and thought I was going to just start a new life. And then after about 6 months, I was in North Carolina. I ended up contracting meningitis, and basically came very, very close to dying. So, and the ironic thing is, I had tons of money in the bank from selling my house. So it really gave me a perspective on, if we're chasing these things, um, we're chasing this monetary uh, lifestyle, and we think that eventually we're going to get happy with where we're at because we have all this money and stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be happy because, like me, I have this kind of adrenaline um, seeking personality. Like I always like to go explore stuff and go out and do stuff, kind of challenge myself, which I did in the Marines and other things. Um, but the worst thing you can do is kind of like uh, give up on yourself. I know it's kind of hard. It's a hard pill to swallow um, because I gave up on myself many, many, many times. But other people that I knew that actually cared about me didn't give up on me. So that was that's basically my story of uh, of how I made it from just sleeping on a couch and being a bum to actually having everything that I need in life and having some achievements that I did myself. Nobody else did it for me. That I can look back on and say, you know what? I mean, it wasn't easy, but I did it. And I think when we're thinking that we're not making enough money or we're not getting there quick enough, nothing that I ever did came overnight. Especially like with the Marines, I had to go through the boot camp. I had to you know I had to do it, and it was not easy. And then as an electrician, I had to sit through classes and work every day and do all that stuff. So there is a system that works, but my best advice, I guess, from this old dude would be like, don't give up on yourself, and always seek somebody else that is in your court to help you. If you're asking your friends who you're pounding beers with to help you, they're not going to help you. That's kind of what I learned the hard way, because my friends would come and pound beers with me and then they'd be gone. And that's why when you get older, you find that you don't have a lot of friends, because the people that are really your friends are going to stick around and be your friend for life. They're not going to just drink up your beers, smoke your cigarettes, and then split. So I guess that's kind of my story. I mean, it's sort of a rags to riches, not riches, but I come from blue collar background. I grew up in Ocean Beach, San Diego, which is kind of a party town. A lot of bars and a lot of clubs and a lot of fights, and I had my share of fights. But the thing that I've learned is just it's very easy to give up on yourself when it feels like society is kind of kicking you around. And for younger people, I do have some empathy, because I remember when I was young and it felt like I was being kicked around and I just couldn't get a break. So I guess my story, my point is to find someone who can help you out. Um, even like when I went to electrical school, there was people there that helped me. I didn't do it all by myself. So that's just kind of my story of I thought I'd put that out there for anybody bothering to listen. You can pretty much do whatever you want. I mean, I came from an abusive background. My family life was a disaster. There was drugs, there was alcohol, there was suicide, there was all kinds of, there's uh, physical abuse, all the time. So uh, just don't give up on yourself, and things can work out, and find people that can help you. All right, so thanks for watching. Comment if you want. I mean, that's kind of just what I was thinking this morning when I get up and recover from a long day fishing yesterday. All right, thanks for watching.